Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. In this special presentation, I'm going to cover the 6 most voted for altcoins. I'm going to go over some technical analysis of those, as well as some projections on some realistic levels I think we can expect them to get to. I'm also going to take this opportunity to go over the big 3 and a bit of an in-depth view of how the fundamental news is currently affecting the markets, as well as the sentiment in the markets. As you guys know, that I believe human psychology and sentiment is the big driver in these markets. So this is the sort of presentation I normally only do for my paid members, so I hope you guys enjoy this. Now, on a 4-hour chart here, we have had a nice reversal doji. These weeks, profit taking here, a bit longer than I would have liked to see, but we are starting to form higher lows. Now, the 4,000 level is going to be a big test. Maybe we get a bit of a pullback from there. Maybe this turns into a bit of a cup and handle, and that gives us the power we need to break through 4,000. But I think that now that we've had this news out there for a good period of time, people are able to digest this and position themselves accordingly. And if you've panicked and you've sold, okay, a lot of this is all forward-looking. So markets should have priced a lot of this in already. The fear's starting to come out of the market. If we do get something more concrete come out of China, okay, maybe we get a panic spike low, a knee-jerk reaction, a final flush out, a capitulation low, as we see often in commodity markets and other volatile markets. So I sold a large chunk of my Bitcoin around 4,400. I had set orders to buy back at these fib levels I've spoken about on Sunday, my usual technical analysis. I did get filled last night. I'm going to buy more if we get down here, and I think it's highly unlikely that we get down to below 3,000. And I know some of the mainstream media articles have been saying they expect a 50% retracement back to around 2,500, but take those articles with a grain of salt. Don't ignore them, read them, and realize that that's what the powers that be want you to do. They want you to panic. Picture them as the bully in the schoolyard, picking you upside down and shaking you. They want you to be that weak hand that panics and sells them their coins because they want to buy more when they write articles like that, okay? So let's jump over to the gold market for a real-world example of what happens when everyone is worried about something happening. So gold obviously did extremely well over the past, 10 years or so when governments around the world started to lower interest rates and print money, and people were worried about inflation. So, rather than having your money in the bank where you used to be able to get, 5% in a savings account or a government bond, interest rates around the world went down to 0 or even negative in Europe. So, the reasons to own gold were more and more favorable. Now, what happened since that, the height of the excitement there in 2011, government started talking about undoing all that. So they're going to raise interest rates back to normal levels, and therefore there's less reasons to own gold. If you can get that 5% in your bank account, why are you going to own gold? So that's the thinking of the market, and I love how longer term charts tell you the story of the human psychology, what the market is thinking. Now, the Federal Reserve spoke about raising interest rates for years, so markets were forward-looking. They were able to price it all in. Everyone was on one side of the boat. Everyone thought the US government's going to raise rates. Why would I own gold? But sure enough, the opposite happened. On the day that they raised interest rates for the first time in 7 or 8 years, that started the rally in gold. So everyone was already on that one side of the boat where they'd sold their gold. Everyone was scared of what was going to happen. It's very similar. It reminds me of what's going on at the moment with Bitcoin in China, and everyone's worried about crypto getting banned, or, the reality is that a lot of people have already sold. A lot of people are already on that one side of the boat. A lot of this news should already be priced in. The fact is that there are only 2 countries, it's only exchanges, cryptocurrency itself is not going to be illegal. The longer term perspective is still very bullish, I believe, for the entire crypto complex. It frustrates me to see good individual projects being sold off that are uncorrelated still, and the fact that all these altcoins still follow Bitcoin. So I think that's all going to change in the future. That's just my 2 cents worth. Hopefully you guys find that useful, but that's basically how I see the market's position. Maybe all the bad news is already priced in if we don't get any other new news hit the market. So if we do get something concrete, maybe we get that knee-jerk final spike down, capitulation low. But at the moment, this is looking like a pretty nice bounce so far. I want to see these green candles pick up, start to form higher lows. But at the moment, technically, I like the look of this 4-hour chart for now. Ethereum, very similar story. Some nice green candles here. Almost perfectly touching that 50% fib level, those longer term fib levels that I put a lot of weight in. I mean, look at that. You can't ignore the fact that technical analysis plays out and a lot of people look at these levels. Again, some nice big volume candles here on this reversal doji. Testing this long-term downtrend line. Again, let's see if we can push through it. And then this big level here that acted as support around, a lot of time spent between 285 and 295 for Ethereum over the past few weeks. Litecoin, again, this longer term trend line here, I might just move that up, but this has been in place for months and months now. And look at here, we almost get a touch here depending on where I draw that, but this fib level 62 acting as really solid support. The cycle brackets that I put a lot of weight into, we've almost bottomed to the day here if this plays out right again. These cycles have been perfect for Litecoin for a long time now. The ebbs and flows of money in and out of this space, that's what I'm looking at for Litecoin. So let's jump into the altcoins that you guys have requested. So I've already done a fair bit of work on a Mesa Go. I like to start my fib levels from, roughly where this coin hit the market, around 50 cents. Each time we've had a big run up, the market's taken the time to consolidate at a high fib level before using that as a launch pad for its next leg up. And again, if we want to have a look at this all-time high, we still haven't given a lot back. And we actually entered a trade in the members room last night, and when it broke below $10, during these corrections, you've got to have your shopping list ready. Your good quality coins that are uncorrelated to the market news, even though they're following them and selling off. Have your shopping list ready of the good coins you want to buy. The ones that sell off the most, I'm happy to jump in and look for a swing trade. So that's what I'm looking for there with the Mesa Go. Even on all this bad news, we're still at the highest fib level. We haven't given a lot back. So where do I see this possibly going? Some realistic expectations. Now, it depends where you want to draw this from again. I tend to like just visually the cleanest legs up. So this was a clean run up, not giving much back. We take that as the top. We pull back to where the low went down here. And then this is a fib projection tool. Just give me some... By no means is this in concrete, okay? This is just giving me some realistic expectations. And the crypto markets very often get to these 78 or 100% extensions. So, I think $19.50 is a very realistic expectation for a Mesa Go before the end of the year. Extremely bullish circumstances, okay? When Ethereum was running up, we saw it hit some of these larger, further extensions. So, all these are longer term goals that I'm looking for on really longer term charts. But for now, I think before the end of the year, definitely $19.50, realistic expectation for a Mesa Go. Next up, we've got Verge. This coin's been in the headlines a little bit lately, starting to get a bit of hype. Now, I know they're big on that privacy aspect, utilizing the Tor network. So there's plenty to like about these privacy-based coins. And, I know Ethereum's looking to add Z-snarks and privacy in the future, but I still think there's always going to be a place for these privacy coins if they've got friendly interfaces, they're doing unique things. Privacy is an issue that's going to continue to be a hot topic in the future as we move to this digital world, decentralized world. So from that first run up there, just have a look at these perfect fib touches. And for a bull market to be intact, I often say I like to see this level hold the 61.8, but the 78.6% retracement is the furthest it can retrace for the bull market to still be intact, in my opinion. And I look at that come down. We've almost kissed it on a few occasions there. This was your signal here. If you're watching this closely and looking for a trade, muck around here for a little bit. Then we break out. Look at those big green candles. Once you've got the breakout from the old highs, it's confirmed the bottom's in. retest of a couple of these fibs here, bounce back off the 50% and off to the races. Now, where do we stand currently? So I always just like to look at the longer term fibs. So people will like to maybe start their fib level here from the most recent breakout. I tend to like looking at the longer term picture just for general rules on where I see these markets going. So again, it's pretty bullish that we've started to consolidate around the highest fib level. We had that spike low kiss of the 38.2%. All these things again are really bullish, and we can tell that there's been good news that's been sustained after we had an initial, we often see these things get hyped up, the market's ready. I realize that, these projects aren't doing real world things just yet. It's going to take some time. Profit takers step in, but then we get those kisses off those fib levels, and then we consolidate that high level. So what's some realistic expectations for where we can see the Verge market going? So again, I'll get my fib extension tool. For this one, I'm probably going to use this starting point here, as this wave here has clearly played out, and then I like to go from the cleanest waves just visually. So where we start, where we get to the high, where we pull back to, and then this is the next launch ramp for some realistic expectations. If all the fundamentals keep going well, and Verge continues to deliver. So again, that 100% extension gets us up to 0.011. So that's 100% almost from where we are now. That's the level I'd be looking at for Verge. Definitely doable again by the end of the year. After we're having these healthy corrections, and the fact that these coins are consolidating and they haven't given up as much as the big three is very bullish, and lays the ground. If they are able to, the big three are able to recover, these other altcoins are going to have strong legs up that have got the strong fundamentals behind them. So that's what I'm looking for with Verge. Now, TenX, we saw a lot of excitement initially. It's given some of that back. Then we've had another round of, fairly bad news in relation to all these payment card issuers that are having trouble with non-European customers, I believe, causing some bad sentiment. Now, again, look at that. We get these perfect kisses off these fib levels multiple times. Then we come down. The 78.6 is as low as I like to see it go for the bull market to be intact. And I think now's a great time to buy TenX if you're taking a long-term point of view. I know I made my video last week when it was trading around mid $2, I believe, but the fact that you get to add more here in the low $2, I think this is a great long-term project. All these payment coins, these payment projects can coexist again. It frustrates me when people are all in on one and they bash the other one or talk it down. Just like we've got, big four banks in Australia, half a dozen big banks across the US or Europe, there's no reason that these can't all coexist if the crypto markets stay strong. Now, this one here, I've got a nice clean setup to this high up here, then a pullback to this low. This has given up a lot more than the other coins we've just had a look at, so let's have some realistic expectations of where TenX could get to. So $7.84, sorry, for the 100% extension. That's what I'll be looking at. I mean, guys, that's a phenomenal trade. If you can go from, around $2 to around $8, okay, that's almost 400% there. That's going to be a good trade. That's why I like TenX for the long term. If they can continue to tick boxes, I think there's every chance this price recovers strongly from the $2 mark. Now, IOTA is another coin that's had a recent bout of bad news. This is another one that's I tend to ignore when it hits the exchange and has this huge spike up on low volume. I'm going to go back to here and start my fib levels from here once the markets have had that sort of equilibrium pattern and it's a bit more rational trading, put more weight in the price action once it's been on the exchange for a little while. So Nice run up to over $1 there. Then we had the bad news about, some concerns about some hashing issues in their code. I think those were definitely overblown, not a big issue. Spike down to that 78.6 that I keep saying is the lowest I like to see it for the bull market to be intact. A nice bounce off there. We played that bounce in the members room last week. We got in at 52 cents. We took profits in this candle here once we recovered. Sort of consolidating in this range here. Equilibrium pattern a little bit, spiking up and down. Now, I think IOTA is a good long-term buy here. I think it's going to get back up to these levels easily. Again, these things that are completely unrelated, independent projects that follow the market presents opportunity if you've done your research and you know everything about the coin. You know that the news headlines about IOTA's code are overblown and they're not that much of a big deal in the real world. This is why doing your research pays dividends, and you deserve to be rewarded if you put those hours in to find out about the coins you own. So the 100% extension there only gets you up to $1.30. I mean, that's still a decent trade from current levels, 55 cents. I'd be looking a bit longer term. Definitely up to that around $2. IOTA's, if they can do this Internet of Things that they're talking about, okay, longer term, there's no reason that this is going to continue to increase in market cap. More people are going to find out about this. More companies are going to want to use this if they can get that Tangle technology up and running. Another good coin that I own for the long term. Now, metal, I did enjoy interviewing Marshall, the CEO of Metal, recently. They haven't had an ICO. It hasn't really had that hype where it hit markets after the ICO phase, all that sort of thing. So the technicals are a little bit different. Again, a bit of a run up recently, starting to gather momentum. A few rumors starting to come out. Watch that interview if you haven't already. Multiple kisses of this 50% fib retracement here. Again, consolidating at the 38.2% now. Let's have a look at some realistic expectations on where we can see metal going by the end of the year. So fib extension tool, where this market started, fairly clean run up all the way here. Then the pullback. Let's just get again, these are just rough guides of some realistic expectations that crypto markets tend to extend further than stock markets or usual commodity markets. But we're looking at around $21, $22 there if we get that 100% extension on metal pay. If they can tick a few boxes, I know they've got some more upgrades. The public alpha coming out in the coming weeks, I believe. Watch that interview if you haven't already, guys. Now, Nexus is another really exciting one. And look at this. This is possibly the most bullish chart setup of the coins we've covered. So let's go back here to where the action all started. Nexus of, building those satellites, so they're decentralizing decentralization, okay? Pretty big claims. I know it's going to be expensive to do those low orbit satellites, but again, that enables payment transfers without necessarily internet connections with mobile phones and all that sort of thing. A big focus on privacy. So another project with a really low market cap. I think it's only under $100 million, so plenty of room to grow. Big run up, consolidating at that high fib level. Not giving back anywhere near as much as those other coins in this recent pullback. And I think a lot of that's due to their big conference. This, I believe it's Thursday next week. Yeah, so exactly a week from now, that big Nexus conference. So a lot of excitement starting to build. And again, we can almost see when the human excitement and emotion when these things have big runs up. So let's go to that nice clean high. Let's see how deep it retraced at that high fib level. It now uses this as its launch pad for hopefully its next leg up. Realistic expectations. So Nexus is currently trading around $3.60. 100% extension gets us to around $6.20. So again, this is all possible in the crypto world, especially with low market cap coins. A coin like Nexus with a low market cap, if they can tick some boxes, more partnerships, they get good news. It doesn't take a lot to get these things moving very quickly, and this is why these extensions are very realistic in the crypto space, and we've seen it time and time again. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this, something a little bit different. I might look to do more of these in the future if you request them. I'll be keeping a close eye on the fundamentals for Bitcoin, having the SegWit 2x still in the back of my mind, but I think once we get this China news behind us, we get a strong move to the upside. A lot of this is hopefully already priced in if my assumptions are right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a like, share these videos around, and as always, guys, thanks for tuning in. Cheers.